Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Case Magic Connections podcast. I am Sam Coyote. I am your host for this evening, and today I have a lovely guest. Her name is Grace. She's here. She's joining us today. Grace is an entrepreneur, but I'm gonna go into Grace's profile or background a little bit. Grace is a health nurse practitioner. She's a coach and an author. And she's the founder of Smiles Biz LLC and also the founder of Women Arise Academy. So she is very busy. She has her own little show. I think it's weekly. I believe, Grace. Yeah. So she has some
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
So she has a lot of great stuff over there. So without me holding you guys up, I would let Grace introduce herself.
Hey, everybody. I'm Grace. I am a mental health nurse practitioner by trade, by profession. I'm also a transformational coach, and I coin myself a life strategist. I'm also a speaker and a published author. And as Sam said, I do coach women. I coach women. I teach them how to live a balanced lifestyle so they can be able to live a life of peace, prestige, purpose, and prosperity. So I do online coaching, group coaching, courses as well. And my show that he's talking about is called the Balanced Lifestyle Series. We do that once a month. I bring in experts to come in to be able to just show women that they can thrive in all areas of their lives. So I bring different experts in there, fitness experts, business, coaches like me as well, different things that I do, also do different lives and stuff like that, just to kind of help people, because I truly believe that when we're emotionally, mentally well, we can be able to thrive in all areas of our life, but it really starts with our mental state. So it's a passion of mine, it's my purpose, it's my calling, that's what I do. So thank you so much for having me here. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. So Grace, mental health. I work in human services and I have at least a dozen or more clients, and some have mental health diagnoses. And a lot of people out there still don't understand mental health. So for somebody that's watching this for the first time, how would you explain mental health to our audience?
Well, it's not black and white because everyone is an individual, but so there's a standard criteria that we do look for, but as I said, it's very personal. It depends on that person, what they're going through. But it's an illness. So it's an illness that debilitates you mentally. We deal with your emotions. It can start affecting you physically. There's different variants of mental illnesses, but main thing I really treat is depression, anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia, pretty much the whole lifespan. I do autism, Asperger's, ADHD. But what it does, it debilitates the person where they're not able to work. Maybe they're not able to get out of bed to go to work, go to school, not engaging with their family members. It affects your eating, affects your sleeping. It just debilitates you altogether. So it starts with the mind. And then, of course, there's people who deal with trauma. And that also goes into depression, anxiety. So it's not black and white. It encompasses different things, but it is a disorder that affects the mind. That can start affecting you physically, start affecting you as far as your interpersonal relationships and different things like that. So people come see me as a provide medication management, also counseling as well. And if I don't do the counseling, I always refer them to a therapist because not everybody needs medication. Sometimes people just need someone to talk to. That's pretty much what I do. Yeah. Some people just need someone to talk to and just process through their emotions and work through their problems. So.
And do you work for yourself, or you work for a company or like an organization?
So I work for a company. I work in outpatient. I work in private practice. So I also do. So I treat mental health illnesses, but I also treat substance use disorders. So people who are maybe suffering from opiate use, cocaine, even marijuana. I know people don't think marijuana is a drug, but it is. It can cause an addiction. So I do addiction medicine as well. And like I said, I treat ADHD. I don't Although I see dementia patients, I more so refer them to more like neuropsych or neurologists. I'll do their scales to kind of see where they're at as far as their memory and all and their cognition and stuff like that, but usually refer them out. So I do work in private practice. We see a range of different types of patients, age groups. My youngest patient is like 11. So
Oh, wow.
I see children, and of course we go all the way up to the last span, elderly. So mental health does not discriminate. It doesn't matter if you black, white, green, purple, age does not matter. And a lot of times too, we also look at the family history. There's some people who are just born into a family that has a lot of mental illness. So it's a genetic thing. As well. So there's a lot of factors that come in it. People don't just wake up one morning, okay, I have a mental illness. It's maybe something that's progressively been going on throughout their whole life. And it just depends on when they got diagnosed for it, because there are people who had anxiety. They'll tell me, I've had anxiety since I was like 5 years old. It's like, how does 5-year-old know they have anxiety? But you know how you feel, right? So they might have been suffering from anxiety and it just looked a little bit different at a young age, and they didn't really know until their hormonal changes, those different things happen. And then they become a teenager, then it started getting worse. Or maybe there's something that happened in their life that kind of made it worse. And now they're starting to realize, oh my God, I have anxiety. Oh my God, I have depression. Maybe I have bipolar, So those are the things that we kind of look for. So working in private practice, I see everything.
Wow. And somebody can sit there and say, oh, I think I have a mental health. Like, you can't really diagnose yourself. If somebody is feeling some type of way, what do you always suggest them to do?
Well, they should always tell somebody. For us, it's really about safety, right? So always make sure, are you suicidal? Those are the things I always, even when patients come see me, you may be feeling good that day when you come see me. Maybe when you go home, those thoughts will start coming. So I'll always talk about safety. If you start feeling suicidal, like, and you don't have to necessarily have a plan, but if you start feeling those intrusive thoughts of suicide, then there's resources, crisis center, suicide hotline. I always tell them, at least get to the emergency room or the crisis center. You know what I mean? Because that's considered emergency, because that's more of a safety issue. So people know how they feel. So although they may not be able to diagnose themselves, there are some people who will go to Google real quick. Like most of us, sometimes all of us do that. Like if we feeling sick, oh, let me go to Google, Dr. Google real quick and see what's wrong with me. Then you just make yourself even more anxious, right? So you can't really diagnose yourself, but you know how you feel. You know if you're not getting out of bed. You know if you're sleeping too much or sleeping too little. You know if you're not eating. You notice that there's a change in you. You would know that there's a change in you. You might not quite understand what it is, but you're not doing the things that you used to do before. And that's a red flag. Okay, I don't want to hang out with my family anymore, or the things I used to enjoy doing. I don't have the desire to do those things. I'm not motivated. Those are the things that you have to start looking at. And if you see it happen consistently, then a lot of people, they don't know to even come to someone like me. They'll go to their primary care first, right? And go to their family doctor. Like, I've been feeling X, Y, Z.
So, Grace, what are the red flags people should look out for? Like parents, family members, professionals, even case managers that work with clients in the community?
Okay, cool. So if someone comes to you and like saying, I'm not feeling quite right, you really want to dig deeper in there, like for parents, for their teenage kids or just their children in general. If your child is being more withdrawn, if the person is being more withdrawn, they're not coming to family activities anymore. They want to stay in their room all the time, crying all the time, not even able to take care of themselves. They have no motivation to brush their teeth, to take a shower. That's a problem. That's just showing you that something is going on with them. So you really want to start asking more questions, especially if they're suicidal. They flat out say, I don't want to live here no more. And then sometimes people might not even say that they may not even come out and say, I'm suicidal. Most people don't say, I want to kill myself. They may say, I don't feel like living. Or they may say, I wish I didn't exist. We consider that more like passive SI. So those are the things you have to start looking at. If you start seeing them giving away their prized possession, like this person been playing guitar their life and they know they wasn't going to give away their guitar. You start noticing they're giving away their stuff. Those are things that you have to start looking at and start questioning. And as I said, people may not come and see me. You know what I'm saying? They may just go to their primary care, their family doctor, and like, I don't feel right. I'm sleeping too much. Things are, there's things have changed in my life. Those are the things we need to be looking for, because when someone's personality, most time personality, that switches, because personality normally doesn't change. But if you notice this person used to be a bubbly person like me, and they withdrawn, they ain't talking, something something quite ain't right. So you really want to ask questions and kind of see what's going on with them. And so those are the things that you should look for.
Yeah. So that was a great answer. Thank you for that. For someone like me and everybody out there, what can we do to help our mental health? Because yes, we're not diagnosed with anything right now. And this COVID, everybody was indoors. No, people were unable to see their doctors, their therapists, their family members. There's a lot going on. People were even scared to even go out, thinking they were going to die from the COVID. Yeah. Even not only that, a lot of people lost family members.
Right.
So how can we work on our mental health, maintain our mental health? Yes.
I always tell people stay engaged as much as you can. We look at us, we're doing the technology, right? So people can get on, make sure they're talking to their family members as much as they can. Because you can use Skype now, FaceTime, whatever, WhatsApp, Zoom. Just try to stay engaged as much as possible, because we were not made to not have connections with people. That's right. Isolation is the last thing someone needs that's depressed. And the first thing they want to do is to withdraw. So try to stay engage as much as you can. That is helpful. I say use coping strategies. If you can, go for a walk. You may not be around other people, but go for a walk. Exercise is always a good thing. Try to stay enjoying the things you used to enjoy doing. Music is good therapy. Some people like to draw. Some people like to journal. I always advocate writing. Writing always been therapy for me. You know what I'm saying? So writing out your thoughts, because you don't want to keep these things in your head, because when you keep all these thoughts in your head, all you do is going to make you more anxious. So sometimes you have to just take these things out of your head, even if it doesn't make any sense, write it out anyway. So I always advocate for journaling. So just try to stay as engaged as you can be socially. Use coping strategies. Deep breathing, self-care looks like anything. I know we hear self-care, and it sounds more like a cliche or term now, but it's really a lifestyle. So whatever self-care looks like to you, if it means one day you off and just Netflix and chill, just watch movies all day, whatever Absolutely. It is that's considered self-care for you, do that. And I think that would definitely help you with your mental health.
I like that. I like the Netflixing, because me and my wife did that during the whole COVID, Netflixing. Also, I like the example that you gave on working out, exercise. Yeah. Like, there are times that, you might feel down, and I'll just say, you know what? I'm going to go for a walk at the track. Right. In the evening, you just walking, got the music in your head, just have time to, think about things in your life, relax. Yeah. What about children? How can children cope with that?
Yeah, I was actually reading this article too about kids and how they're dealing with COVID, because children need social interaction. Remember, they used to be going to school and with their friends and stuff. So and then virtual learning that's a whole nother beast.
Absolutely.
Right. So as far as your kids go, just keep, ask questions with them, keep them engaged. You still want to get them out too. You don't want them just stuck on electronics, because these kids are so quick to get on, the games and the phone and all that stuff. I always say do family time. My son and I, we try to do Sundays, try to do family time, like a family game night is great. Whatever it is, Monopoly, whatever board games y'all have, get the family together, do game night with the kids. Talk to your kids. That's free.
That's free.
You're not paying for nothing.
Yes, yes, yes.
So talk to your kids, have conversations with them, try to engage with them, ask them questions. How did the virtual learning go today? It's just important to just have that open line of communication, because you want your children to feel comfortable that if something is going on with them, even if they don't quite understand what it is, they can come to you and not feel judged, and come to you and just know that they have a safe place to come to. So I always encourage parents, just make sure you have a safe place for your kids to come to. Talk to your children. You just never know what you're going to get from your kids. You talk to them.
Yeah.
So
and that's good, because that's a great way of putting it, because kids have been indoors for almost a year, and they said a lot of kids were committing suicide because they didn't have interactions with other kids. A lot of kids they play sports. So could you imagine some of them unable to go out there and play the sport they love, or even go to their friend's house? So everybody's changing, and as the world changes, a lot of people's mental health is also changing. But I have a quick question to ask you. In mental health, right? How hard is your job?
Sir, that's like open a Pandora box. That's so funny, because my son just asked me to tell me the other day. He was like, "Mommy, your job just seems so like hard and like challenging." That's what he was telling me, and I was like, yeah, it's different." Because we don't have tests like, all we do is listen in communication, and we have to look at people's nonverbals. So we don't have tests like we don't really have tests that we can use like, oh, this person's depressed. We have scales like, the scales of patients fills out the PHQ-9 and all that stuff. So we know your symptoms, but there's no put this cuff on and I know how much, serotonin you got going on in your head. I don't, all these neurochemicals in your brain. So it can be challenging, because a lot of the mental health illnesses look alike. Depression looks like anxiety because some of the symptoms look alike. Bipolar, like someone who's bipolar, I always try to differentiate the difference between someone being on a chemical and bipolar, because a lot of times people will come in, they're bipolar, but this person been snorting coke. Of course they're going to be manic. They're going to look like they have all those symptoms because they're doing drugs. So we have to just be very mindful of what the patient is saying, mindful of what the patient is not saying. We have to look at the family history. So there's a lot that stuff that goes in there, their history, that they've been on meds before. There are tests that we do for ADHD. So there's certain things that we can look through tests, but it can be very challenging, and not just the diagnosis itself, just making sure the person feels comfortable with you and in a safe place, because it's not easy to come talk to a complete stranger about your personal business, especially if you've been through trauma. So for me, where I come from, I like to crack jokes with my patients. I like to build rapport. That's just my personality. That's just who I am. So I like to make them feel so comfortable enough that they can tell me anything and not feel like they have to hide anything from me, because the less you tell me, the harder it's going to be hard for me to help you. And I think also setting boundaries is another thing when it comes to dealing with mental health. You have to set boundaries with people, because some people, they look at you as you're their savior, and I'm not your savior. I'm your provider to help you, but we have to learn how to set boundaries with our patients. Like, okay, this is what we're going to work on. We're not crossing over here. We're not crossing over there. And you have to get to a place of also understanding when you may need to refer someone out. I am not super nurse. So I know real quick who I need to see, who I don't need to see. If I know I can't help them, or that I know they're not being compliant, we tried everything, I would discharge them and I will let them know you have to find somebody else, because I'm not able to help you the way that you need me to help you. And it's understandable. They understand you have a right as a patient to go whoever you want to go to. You do not have to see me. And so we just have to be careful with that, because sometimes providers can get to a place where they're feeling sorry for the patient, instead of empathy, they're they pity the patient and just do whatever the patient wants them to do. No, they came to you for your expert advice.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have to follow your recommendations? Absolutely
Mm-hmm.
not. They have a right not to do that. But you're not there to be no one's friend. You're there to help them. So you have to set those boundaries so they can understand this is a patient and provider relationship. I'm here to help you, but there's certain lines you're not going to cross. Okay. Or you're going to have to find somebody else, because so I always, even with my patients that I deal with patients, like I said, I work in addiction medicine. So that is something you definitely have to set boundaries with, because there's people who have a history of drug abuse and they're so quick to ask you for Xanax. No, you're not going to get Xanax from me because you have a substance use history. And if you don't like it, you ain't got to see me. But you have to set those boundaries in the beginning, because I don't want to be that provider that starts you on something that you know that you're going to, is going to be a problem in the long run. So I look through the whole aspect. Some people like it. Some people get mad at me. That's okay. I'm cool with that. As long as I'm doing what's best for you. If you don't feel like it's what's best for you, you ain't got to see me. You don't got to take my recommendations. You have every right to do whatever you want to do, because it's your life, is your body. You got to take these meds. You have to make that decision for yourself. So I always encourage my patients to be an advocate for yourself. You have to be an advocate. Let me know what you don't want to do, don't want to do. We'll see what we can do. Also, because I see kids, I have to take accountability to the parents. Some parents don't want their kids on meds. I'm like, well, why you come here? You know I'm gonna do medications. So why are you here? It makes sense. So I have to work with parents and take what they want for their children. I have to be mindful of that. My teenage kids, I see mostly teenagers. So even though their parents say one thing, I will ask my teenager what they think first. We have to include the kids.
Absolutely.
They're the ones that have to take the medication. I don't talk over my kids. I talk straight to them. If I have to ask a parent a question, I'll tell my teenage patients, look, I'm not talking through you. I'm asking your mom, what she thinks first. And then I'll ask them, like, well, what's your parents saying? Do you agree with that? Just to include them as part of their treatment. So I just really believe in being patient-centered, but I also believe in, I'm the expert. You came to see me. So therefore, I'm going to give you my best recommendation. Whether you agree with it or not, it's up to you. You decide what you want to do, and then we'll go from there. That's pretty much how I run things. So it can be challenging, and sometimes it can be very frustrating because you done tried everything and nothing's working. And I had to check my mental health. I had to check my emotions. You know what I'm saying? So when I leave work is done. I don't bring that home, especially working from home. I have to separate. Okay, I'm no longer in my office. I need to separate that, because if I don't separate that, then what am I giving to the people that are attached to my life? I have to be well myself, so they won't catch what I'm doing at work, if that makes sense what I'm saying.
It makes sense. I agree, because if you're working with, if you have clients on your caseload, you have to be well yourself, because if you're not doing your job, they can sense that. And you have exactly, and you have people's lives, that you have to help and assist and provide services to. And if you're not well yourself, how are you going to do your job?
How are you going to be able to do that? I always tell people, prioritize yourself. I take mental health days. I will
call out,
cancel real quick. I'm like, reschedule. I don't play by myself because I feel like if I'm not well, as you said, if I'm not well, how can I help somebody else? So I always tell people, prioritize yourself. People are catching your overflow. So if you're operating on a deficit, everything is going to be half.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So when we work in this field, we have to be completely equipped with what we're doing. And my patients can also sense it, because I've had patients like, I'm not even down or anything. I just may be tired. And they'll ask me that, Grace, are you depressed? I'm like, no, I ain't depressed. I'm just tired. So my patients can sense it, because they know I'm a personable person. So when I'm like a little bit quiet, and they could tell, like, okay, what's up with you? And I've had them ask me, Grace, are you okay? I heard you were sick the other day. How are you feeling now? They're very concerned about me, because they know that I'm always on top of my stuff. So if I'm feeling off, I won't see a patient. I will straight tell the office, reschedule. I'm not feeling well. I'm not in the right mental headspace. And I'm not one of those people that just going to show up, because I don't want my energy, I don't want whatever I got going on to come across to them, because they have enough to deal with. They don't need somebody who's not, they don't need that.
100%.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So.
Wow. So that's great information you provided with us today, Grace. So with you working in the mental health field, you also have a coaching. You have two companies, and you have the first one is Smiles Biz LLC,
Smile Biz.
and the other one
Yeah.
is Womanariseacademy. Academy. Can you talk to us about that and what each company does? Can you tell us about that?
Well, I only have one company, Smile Biz LLC, Single Moms Who Will Be Living Empowered. Is a personal development company, but Womanize Academy is my program that's underneath it. So it's all wrapped in one. Yes, all right. Underneath that. So it's the same thing, but so Smile Biz is the personal development company. Like I said, I just teach people how to live a balanced lifestyle. I specifically coach high performing women how to live a balanced lifestyle, because like I said, when you're able to have a balanced lifestyle, you just show up differently. You know, you just show up differently. Your performance at your job is better, or your business. You're more present for your family and friends. You're able to prioritize yourself. You just, not that you don't go through challenges and struggles, but you're able to manage it better. Your emotions are better. So that's my jam. It all works together with me being an MP, because I learned skills to kind of help people process through that. Womanize Academy is actually a group coaching program that I launched, and we work through different things: stress management, work-life balance, purpose planning, because I really believe in people having a plan for their life. As I said, I'm a life strategist, and then leadership. You know, a lot of the women that I work with, they are CEOs. They're, you know, they have their own businesses, or they're in ministry. They're doing something, right? Working a 9-to-5 and trying to manage their household. So they're a leader in themselves wherever they show up. So it's important to learn how to communicate with confidence, you know, how to be able to delegate. I think a lot of us, you know, society likes to put women in a box. I'm sure your wife has talked about that before. You know what I'm saying? So they like to put women in a box. And I want to let women know that you can do whatever, you know, you can do whatever you put your mind to it, you know, but you just have to have the right system in place. And we have to learn, as we are not superwoman. That's not our role.
Yes.
You know, so we have to learn how to delegate, you know, because if you allow your pride to get in the way and you want to be independent all the time, you're going to be quickly overwhelmed or burnt out. So I try to teach them, learn how to communicate with confidence, to be able to delegate and be able to ask for what you need and not keep taking on everything, because that's what's going to make you feel overwhelmed. And as I said, going into corporate, that would transcend in how to teach, you know, corporations how to really make sure their employees have great work-life balance, because it matters.
Yes.
If their home is not right, they're going to show up. They're not going to show up right at work. So it trickles down to, soon it's going to trickle down to dollars and cents.
Yes.
Because if they're not doing well and at the job, they're not being productive, you're going to be losing revenue. Point blank, period. And so so it's important to teach you know, this personal development, because you not only use it in your home, you definitely use it in your workplace or wherever that you show up at. Personal development is so important. I don't know why not enough people talk about this stuff. We hear it, but they don't understand. They think work-life balance is a term, just some terminology, but it's a real thing.
It's real. Yes.
It's a real thing, and people are burnt out and overwhelmed, and COVID is even showing it even more. So I think it's very important that we have that balance. It's important that we be able to use our time effectively, learn how to prioritize. All these things matter. So that's what I pretty much teach. Right now, I actually have a workshop coming up in June where I'm going to be helping women thrive in all areas of the life, and I'm going to show them a framework that I use myself and I've taught other women, so they can be able to show up well in their career, their business, and at home. So that's coming up in June. So I'm putting that out there for people to register for. It is virtual, so it's very convenient. But we're going to deep dive, and I'm going to teach them how to. They get a bonus training, which I normally don't teach. I only teach in the academy, how to communicate, literally how to communicate and delegate. So because that will help people. That will help you a whole lot if you know how to communicate, communicate with confidence.
Yes.
And be able to delegate responsibilities to people, especially your team, because there's some things a team member should be doing, not you.
Yes.
And that what that does, it gives you more time to focus on what's important to you. But if you're doing every single thing, no wonder you're burnt out. You got to learn to be able to delegate responsibilities. And I had to learn that quickly when I was working on the floor as a nurse, because when I first started as a nurse, I wanted to do everything. I didn't want to go and ask the tech to do anything. I was afraid, like, oh, I'm a new nurse. I don't want to ask for no help. They're going to think I'm incompetent. No, I learned that real quick. So these are the skills I've learned over the years working in leadership, you know, since I was 17 years old. So these things, strategies do work. So definitely anyone who's interested, high performing women who are ready to thrive in their career and business and their personal life need to be at this workshop.
And you know what is funny? I'm actually going to attend a men's self-improvement in June. You know, and this type of program is good for everybody. You're married, you're single, you're in college, because we all need some type of self-improvement, professional development. It doesn't even matter. Life improvement, anything that will improve our day-to-day. Because, you know, especially people that are married, or men, just men in general, you need to learn some things, you know.
Right. I feel like there's not enough services for men. And when you hear about personal development, leadership, I do see more stuff for men, but when it talks about personal development, a lot of content is geared to women. As you said, married men, definitely, because you have to learn how to balance everything. You got a wife to take care, you got some kids, you got the bills, you got all this stuff going on. And you just need to be able to have a place where, where you can decompress and like, okay, well, how am I going to do this? And then as you know, as you are the leader, provider of your family, right? You're in that leadership role. It can be kind of challenging and daunting sometimes, right? And I don't think men have a safe space to be able to express that. Like, you know what? Because, you know, when you come up and like, okay, I'm going through something right now, I'm having a difficult time dealing with this, the first thing the world tells you is you're soft, you're weak. And that's far from the truth.
Yes.
You know, you're a human being and you can't go. So I think you just going to that is going to be beneficial. Not only you showing up as you know, you showing up in what you do for a living, but it's going to be great for you to show up at your home, learning those skills, you know. So that's amazing. I'm glad you're going to that.
Oh, I'm going, and you know, I don't have a therapist. My wife is my therapist. I'm her therapist. So so
I recommend people don't do that. Get your own therapist.
not clinically.
I
clinical.
No, yeah. I get it. No, your spouse is someone you should be able to talk to.
Absolutely.
You should be able to be vulnerable and transparent. If you don't, you might need to come see me. We may have to have some counseling and have a conversation. Like, why is your spouse not someone you can talk to? What's up with that? So yeah, that is important. Yeah, but when people go through mental health stuff too, I just tell them it's important to have their separate. But you should be able to have someone to talk to, you know, in covenant marriage, you should be able to go to your spouse, you know, you should be able to be your authentic self. You shouldn't have to hide anything because that just adds more burden. That just makes you even more stressed out. You got to hide stuff and you don't feel like that person has a capacity to understand you. So that is very important. And a lot of people, they say that, you know, with marriage, I wouldn't know, but this is what I hear. They say in marriage, you know, those are the things they look for. You know, communication is always an issue sometimes, you know, and I do think men and women, we do have different languages. We speak different things. So I understand that part, but you have to have the capacity to kind of understand your partner, where they're coming from, and even recognize when something changes in them. You know what I'm saying? That's important. So
wow,
kudos to you.
Yeah, this is a great interview. So how can women find you if they need? Do you offer one-on-one consultation to women?
Not right now. I'm in group coaching. I do more group coaching.
Okay.
I may do clarity calls later on, but that's not something I really want to do right now. But as far as like getting contact with me, definitely they can get on. I'm on Instagram, Womanarize Academy. Also Miss Grace Onuegbu on Instagram as well. Also on Facebook, my business page is Smile Biz LLC. SMILEBIZ LLC. I'll give you my information. And right now for the actual, if they're ready to for change, they can register for the workshop, and that website is womanarise.co/live to thrive, the number 2. Mm-hmm. But if they go on my my Instagram page, the link is on there too as well for them to get on through there to register for that workshop. It's coming up. It's June 12th from 12 to 4. It may run a little bit longer depending on how much interaction we get.
Okay.
It's going to be pretty dope. It's a course book that comes along within a curriculum. Also, we're going to do virtual breakout sessions, because I really want them to use these skills. It's important to use these skills immediately. One thing I've learned, people who actually get change are people who are deciders. If you're someone who's going to be straddling the fence, don't even bother coming, because I want people who are going to use these things immediately. That's when you see results, when you start implementing. When you're straddling the fence and you're not decided on anything, you're not going to accomplish anything, because you didn't even make a choice.
Yes.
You didn't make a decision. So that's just how I roll. I don't coddle nobody. I don't care. Even my child, he tell you, I don't coddle him. We talk. I give him a safe space, but he also understands there's certain things he has to do in order to be able to achieve what he wants. And the same thing transcends in my business. Same thing transcends in my practice. I just believe that you have to start putting things into action in order to be able to get what you want. And it's about taking it one day at a time, living the present moment. Goals are not something that just immediately happens. But the best tip, and this is a freebie, the best tip I can tell people is take one action a week towards that one thing you want to do. If you take one action a week, it won't become so challenging for you. So take one action a week towards, if you have a goal, whatever that, if it's a financial goal, fitness goal, whatever goal that you have, take one action a week to get towards that goal. And then what you do is you look over it. Did I do what happened? You know what I'm saying? Did I meet my weekly goal? What can I do differently next week in order to get there? So that's what it's about. It's about taking one step at a time. That's it, and living in the present moment.
Wow. I want to thank you very much for coming here today. This was a great interview. It was awesome. I learned a lot from just having this conversation with you. So anybody, if you're out there and you would like to join our podcast, please comment below. I will also add Grace's information on the video. So if you guys please reach out to her if you want some professional and personal development. You can see her. She's very lively. She's very friendly. So please reach out to her. So thank you. This ends our episode of the Case Manager Connections podcast. And I'll see you again, and I'll catch you on my next video.
Are you interested in learning the basics of becoming a skilled human service case manager? Does your organization need case management training? Contact CM Training LLC for case management training at 800-513-5549 or email at info@cmtrainingllc.com.